So, bold, edgy, rising star in the making,
That dramatic, perhaps?
dramatic,
And these are all words that describe,
not you.
that's shocking, but our guest for today, Miss Anzeela
Anzeela.
Abbasi.
Oh, so bold, so dramatic. Am I the drama? I might be.
You know, when people, I mean, if there was anyone out there who would actually use these words to describe me, I'd be really proud of it. I'd be happy. Because it sets you apart from the norm in this country.
Yeah.
But how do you feel when every article, every time someone speaks about you, they're using the word bold? Like, we were talking about this and I was like, there's this one thing that kept popping up and you were like, bold, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's so weird being described as bold, even though I'm just like doing something that literally every other person is doing, and because I'm doing it like so samne, everyone's like, she's so bold. It's like, no, I'm not bold. I'm literally just wearing like a crop top. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm also a recipient of bold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And agreed, many times I take it as a compliment, but I also find it particularly backhanded.
Yeah.
Because what they're really saying is like, you're against the norm.
Yeah, and you're too much.
Yeah, you're not conforming.
Yeah.
Because no one's like, oh, bold font, how subtle. They're mostly saying like, you are being disruptive.
Yeah.
So yeah, in some ways it's like, yeah, rock on. And in some ways it's like, bhai, I'm speaking out loud.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
shouldn't be a disruption to the
Exactly,
norm.
yeah.
The only time I've been called bold or I've been called something along those lines has been in a very passive-aggressive manner by some auntie who spends a little too much time watching these dramas and has made these labels. Yeah. Like, beta, shaadi nahi hoegi if you're going to be this bold. You need to pull it back a little. And I'm just like, pull what?
That's
Yeah,
a chapter in my memoir. Shadi nahi hogi if you're going to be this bold.
It's a good title of my next book. But like, normally the passive aggressiveness comes from these aunties who are watching these dramas who have these preset labels in their heads, right? So like, do you feel like that mindset is also kind of segueing into actual real life careers of women who are being put in these little labels and then getting scripts like that?
Definitely, but I also think that it's a very brown person thing. I think it's a very South Asian, not South Asian, but like a very brown person desi thing, where like all the aunties are always going to like say something to the younger crowd and then be like, oh, well, tum to bahut zyada bold ho, because like you like, because you're just outspoken or you're just like taking up space in the room, and you're kind of, it's not usual for women in our society to like do that most of the time.
Or even have a personality.
Or even have a person. God forbid you have a personality, you know? And that's something that I do want to say sometimes on my Instagram when people are like, oh, you look so weird. Why do you have your hair that's red? And I'm like, God forbid I actually have a personality and I actually want to express myself.
I find this a lot as a content creator that like, and I kind of skew funny but raging at the same time, depending on my mood that day. And a lot of times I'll get this comment that's like, overacting or too much or da-da-da. And the thing is just like, no, I'm just like a person that is speaking with facial expressions.
Yeah.
And it's weird, when I moved to Pakistan, I actually found myself like policing me and my sister in public, where I was like, don't laugh so loud because people will stare at us and stuff. And I found that so crazy.
Yeah.
But truly, I speak about this all the time, that the biggest threat to like Pakistanis to me is like when you do not conform.
Yeah.
They get
mad. Dudes, they get upset about it.
So like, speaking of not conforming, let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us a bit, who is Javeri? I'm sorry, not Javeri Abbasi, that's your mom.
My mom.
Rewind. Tell us a bit. Who is someone I've been friends with for 2 years and I literally just called her mom's name. I'm so sorry.
I'm actually not surprised, because I feel like I get that a lot, because I do look like her a lot. Plus, like, you know,
gorgeous woman, might I add.
Gorgeous. And then like, you know, I grew up, I was literally born into the industry, because both of my parents were a part of the industry, and they won this. I was literally talking to my mom about this the other day. They won this acting challenge back in like the 90s or something, and they were both really good at it. And you know, people at that point, like, they thought that they had paid to win, but like that was not the case. They were just really good, like, you know, they were just really good at their jobs. And like, you know, as I grew up in the industry and I met people and I would look around me and stuff, everything was generally pretty chill. But then the minute that you went to sit down and like do a drama or like do something, you always had to have a character that was like very like miskeen, very like, oh, she doesn't speak too much and she has a personality but she keeps everything inside and she doesn't say anything
because she's a good woman.
Because she's a good woman. So when I went to do these dramas, like, so
do they actually script that?
Yeah.
Like, do they literally, like, when you get the script, it says you now have to be this person?
Yeah.
They, like, literally tell you.
Yeah, they tell
this
you,
is
like, so for example, like, a lot of the times, like, when I would go there, I'd be like, okay, what's my character like, right? And a lot of the times, like, I haven't done any negative roles, which I would love to do because I feel like I would be so good at it. But, like, I would always get casted as, like, the shy girl, the girl that doesn't speak too much, the girl that is, you know, she keeps every like little thing like inside of her and then it eventually explodes and goes like, ye nahi ho sakta papa, and like I can't do that because, you know, and the first day when I went on set, I had come back from America and I was really, really bad at studies. I was like so bad at it. I'm like a little dyslexic, by the way, just letting you guys know. So when I went for my first drama, I had this whole like very like westernized kind of mindset because I just came back, right? And when I went there, I had like nails on, I had like my lashes done, I had like my hair and whatever. And because I had my nails, they were like, you have to take your nails off. And I'm like, why? That was the first red flag. I was like, wait, what do you mean? And he's like, no, well, girls like this don't have like long nails. And I'm like,
girls like this.
Girls like this, yeah. They're like, girls like this don't have long nails. Girls like this don't wear too much lipstick. And girls like this don't do... And I'm like, what do you mean girls like this? She's just a girl.
Yeah.
Well, I watch dramas. I mean, I get into them. People are surprised, but like they...
Yeah.
As we were talking off camera, I was like, they kind of radicalized me.
Yeah.
But I can always point out you can put that on mute.
Yeah.
And I know who the villain is. Number one, her hair is open.
Yeah.
Or
Always.
short.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And no little clips. Those two clips are the difference
Oh my
between
God.
Virtuous
Yeah.
and Vixen.
Yeah.
She definitely has a job in which she wears pants.
Yeah.
Or jeans.
Or jeans. Jeans is
yeah.
a big one.
Jeans is a big
pen ke chali gayi hai, like,
Yeah.
Okay.
And like there's a lot of like arms that are crossed. There's a lot of and
there's a
out.
way they stand.
Yeah.
There's a way that it's very different to the other one.
Yeah.
I feel
on
like
screen.
these tropes are very much basically we described the three women sitting here usually play the bad guy.
When I'm watching these
Yeah.
dramas, I'm like, you know, the girl that's always the baddie. I'm like, that's me.
Yeah, literally.
And like, I mean, why can't I be good for once?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I be the one that actually saves the day at the end of the day? Why am I the one that at the end of the drama after the 100 episodes, I'm still the one who's being bad and I have not learned a lesson.
Yeah.
Where's my story on?
No lesson has been learned.
Where's my relatability to the drama?
Yeah.
To begin with. And I feel that so much because, like, I was doing this drama in the middle where it was about, like, this girl whose dad is, like, you know, he has this, like, dukaan and she can't, like, he's not able to work. So she's like, oh, I will handle the whole store for you. So she gets a bike. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, you know, go there and do all of this thing and, like, take responsibility or whatever. But my sister, who was playing, the chick who was playing my sister, she was the villain of it. So she wanted my man, she wanted my job, she was pissed off that I was, like, taking a bike to work and stuff like that, even though, like, you know, she was still getting all of the things that she actually wanted. But then why are we making her look so bad for the stuff that she wants, and why are we making me look so good for sacrificing
essentially? The crux of it all comes down to the one that's always good is the one that sacrifices everything
and compromises,
and literally forgets who they even are.
Yeah.
Like, they have no personality anymore
Yeah.
because they've sacrificed for their parents, they've sacrificed for their
The love of
badas
their
in
life.
the family, they
Yeah.
sacrifice for the husband,
Yeah.
then they sacrifice for the kids, and
Yeah.
they're just constantly sacrificing, and then they say, no, but I'm content.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is happy, so now I'm happy.
Yeah.
But that poor girl who's like, no, I want a career.
Yeah.
I want that man. I want the
Yeah.
career. These are not bad things.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I think they're not bad things. A lot of the dramas I watch, it's like my poor cousin's rich fiance, who's also my cousin from that side.
Wants me.
Yeah, I want him. And even though he literally hates me
Yeah.
with the most blistering hatred that if one got close enough, there would be burns on
I
their
think
head.
I'm watching this drama right now.
It's every drama. And then they get married and they're like, why don't you love me? And he's like, you literally tricked me
into
marriage,
a marriage,
and you have sent our other cousin like off into the abyss. But I get what you're saying. Also, that it is interesting that it's always such a this or that. There's
never a gray line in there. It's always just black and white with these dramas, which is really, really, really sad.
And the idea that like a woman will like voluntarily go and work only must be in the regard like my father can't do it anymore, I'm stepping up for my family, this is majboori until I find a man, versus like a woman just in the office is like your number one enemy,
just having basic ambition. There is no ambition
here. Autonomy and confidence are the foundational points apparently of villains.
Okay, so but like getting into the detail, like I said, like when you get that script, were there times when you were just like, no, like I don't get the story arc of this character and I want to make it better and I want to do it this way, and then you got pushed back?
I would get into fights with my directors because I'd be like, this is not something that my character should be saying at this point in this conversation or in this scenario, because there was one drama that I was doing where the girl, like, even though she's been accused of killing her husband, she is still working at her sasural trying to make sure that the saas is okay with her. But the saas is treating her like absolute crap, and she's still there.
And she's taking it.
And she's taking it. Where she could have easily left. She could have easily gone and, like, stayed with her family and all of those things. But then, like, you know, anytime that she's confronted with, like, oh, why are you here? She would be like, yeah, but, well, I killed him, so I have to stay here. But you didn't. But you didn't kill him. You didn't do anything. Like, also, that's not even your fault.
Really bad self-preservation. Dude. Get out of the scene of the crime.
Yeah, horrible. Like, so, you know, like, you kind of, and then on top of that, like, your writers are, you know, they're very old people. You know, they're
old
like
men.
Yeah, they're all old men.
Yeah.
And if they're not old men, that they're old women, and they come from. So basically, my dada used to be a writer. And he used to write dramas and stuff as well. Obviously, I haven't seen a lot of his dramas, but back in the early 90s and the early 2000s and the late 90s, dramas were actually changing a lot. So when I met my mom yesterday, we were talking about like dramas and stuff, and she was like, dude, we had the budget to be able to go to like random places like Mauritius and like America and like everywhere else to shoot a drama. And because we had that budget, we also had the budget for good writers. And when we had those good, like, I've seen a lot of my mom's dramas, and they were they were amazingly shot, amazingly written. Every character had an arc. Every character had like a purpose of being there.
That's the other thing, purpose. There's in a drama, like when I'm watching it, I'm obviously watching it with a slightly more critical eye because I'm not watching it because I want to watch it. I'm watching it because I kind of have to because of my grandmother. But also I get hooked onto it, and then I'm just like, this story is making me so angry, but I can't stop watching it. I think it's like one of those car crashes.
It's also, I think Pakistani dramas now, I feel like, are so like rage baity.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I feel like, and that it's become a shtick because now what's happening is that like that they keep churning out the same stuff because they want you to react. It's like,
and trust, it's me and Elhaam standing behind our mom or our grandma, and we're like,
what do you mean?
You know what I'm always doing? I'm like, send a text. I'm like, hello, WhatsApp? Have you heard of it? Like, anytime a man's like, you were seen at the mall, I'd be like, well, here's my location, dummy.
Like, do you want it?
I actually, nobody steal this content idea. I was literally going to start a series where, like, I demolish a drama in 2 minutes. I'm like, let me solve the problem.
Do it. Oh my God,
sent my location.
I would be down with you for 2
my grandmother's willing to do it with you.
Oh my God, let's
because
go.
every drama she watches, she's like, what's with the slow-mo? This could have been done in 3 episodes. Like, if he did this and she just spoke to that one, it would be the end of this drama. You know, I'm like, it would be the end of this drama.
More than the slow motion, the other one is, baat to sunne, baat to meri sunne. I'm like, baat ke do? And then he'll listen to it. Like, can you get to the next sentence? I'm literally standing there, like, my blood pressure, and I'm like, you know what? You knew what you were doing. You knew that you were going to get me standing in that room, screaming at my mom, simultaneously about feminism and also plot points. The number one plot point I don't understand is how nobody talks, and also this, they are yelling their schemes from the drawing room.
Oh my God!
And everyone's sitting there, and I'm like, so no one hears this.
I'm sorry, Pakistani dramas do a voiceover. let the thoughts be thoughts. Why
Thank
would she
you.
stand there and be like, "Isko to main nahi chhodungi"? Like,
Yeah.
girl, like
And she just served you tea, so she's pretty much within like 10 feet.
She's
of
like
the
She
right
has
room.
there
not
in the
left
next
the
room.
room.
Yeah.
She's still at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. They need to basically I feel like what's happening is
Yeah.
that they've picked one thing, and Pakistanis do this a lot.
Yeah.
They pick one thing and then they see, oh, it's working, and then everyone jumps on the
Yeah,
bandwagon,
yeah.
and then everyone starts churning out the same stuff,
And
thinking
that's, not
that's
the only,
what works.
It's not only that with dramas, but I feel like it's that with like businesses.
Everything.
Everything.
And they're always
Advertising.
next to each other.
Yeah, like it's like I start like a Korean barbecue thing today. There's gonna be 10 other people starting it tomorrow. But then also I was just thinking as you were saying that Pakistani dramas, like, yes, they had the budget for that back then, but then now, like, वही चीज़ है कि because they found that one thing, they kept going along with it.
Same with the
And
writers.
same
It's the
with the
same.
writers.
Like every
Yeah.
drama has the same names on it, the same
Yeah.
producers, the same
Yeah.
writers,
Yeah.
the same people, and then we're mad because we're like, why don't they do something different?
Yeah.
But also, if it's working, if it ain't broke,
Yeah.
why fix it?
Yeah.
So
or
let's-
why even try something new?
Yeah.
True. So let's talk about what are the common ones, right? Shadi, evil in-laws.
Shadi with your
evil
cousins
in-laws,
only.
shadi
You
with
can
your cousins.
only because
Yeah.
God forbid you fall in love with a guy in college.
Or your
It
neighbor.
ain't happening.
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
Or I don't know,
You know that
maybe-
relationship's doomed.
Yeah.
Literally, or even just like a rishta.
Yeah.
Like, hello, rishta's real. Like,
Yeah.
why does it always have to be the person that grew up down the hall from you?
Yeah.
Like, actually, we discussed this. I didn't know if I was
Yeah.
going to bring this point up.
Yeah.
But I'm going to, and then we edit it if it's a problem. But I really feel like these dramas
Yeah.
are kind of a poison because you're sitting there and you're constantly pushing this narrative that cousins are eyeing each other up or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
or colleagues are
Yeah.
or schoolmates are, like the idea of just familial or platonic
Yeah.
friendship
Is-
relationships.
It's non-existent.
Toxic.
Toxic.
Non-existent.
And also you're putting ideas in all of those
Kids'
older
heads.
ladies, kids, but also the older
Yeah.
ladies, the kids might be like us, being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, that's weird. But the older ladies who are doing the rishtas are like, no, but beta, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because he's your cousin. You didn't really grow up together.
But
You
then
don't
again,
remember
like,
your
they
bachpan where you
also- But ये लोग बचपन से drama देख रहे हैं ना? They've
Yeah.
been watching these dramas since
Yeah,
they're
fair,
like
fair.
But
ages.
also, I wouldn't even just put it on like aunties, to be honest. Like these dramas have millions of
millions.
viewers.
Yeah.
And actually, what concerns me more is how many are men. Because when you're sitting there and you're constantly being delivered this idea that there is a good woman and a bad woman.
Yeah.
And these are written in stone.
Yeah.
There is no gray area.
Yeah.
And then number two, all women want each other dead.
Yeah.
They're killing each other
Yeah.
over this mute man
This
who has
man-
never
oh my
completed
God.
a sentence in his life. Who's
also
it also
a-
gives the idea that men
a
are
mama's boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always mama's
and
boys.
and an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, and I listen. If anyone's not coming, to the men's rights camp, it's
Yeah.
definitely me. But
Yeah.
I will sit here and say, like, I don't believe the portrayal of Pakistani men is fair.
It's not.
In dramas,
Yeah.
they have no nuance. They never have a mind of their own, and you're
Yeah.
telling men.
Yeah.
That women are the puppet masters
Yeah.
and women are evil or the
Yeah.
baake rakh do.
Yeah.
And that is what these dramas, I think, one of the most dangerous things about them is.
It's literally like it's a lot of what's the word for it? I'm like brain farting right now. It's also the societal thing, right? Where like anyways, like in Pakistan, women are not really allowed to like kind of take up space and like be the ones to make decisions and like be the ones to be like, okay, what's the word?
Dramas have basically become the mirror
Yeah.
to society.
Yeah.
It's like holding up a mirror to society, and they keep talking about how they pull from society to write for these
Yeah.
dramas. But also, they don't. They put all of these people in boxes,
Yeah.
and then they just keep churning out the same boxes
Yeah.
in different shapes and forms.
Because like imagine like there's a girl, okay, who is from a middle class family, and she her whole life she grew up watching dramas with her mom or with her grandmother or whatever. And that's the life that she knows, and that's the life that she's been living in, right? And if she watches these dramas, she's gonna be automatically brainwashed into that. But then also, if she's somebody who's also going through the stuff that is happening in the drama, she's going to find relatability in the sense where she's going to be like, oh, I'm heard and I'm seen.
Yeah,
But
that's
then-
also true.
Yeah, and I think we can change that by kind of still giving those characters like arcs and still giving them like better stories to be able to express, because it's not only just about like saas bahu ke masle and shadi kab honi hai aur bacha kab karna hai and all of these things.
I feel like they are branching out now. There are dramas, because my grandmother, because she watches so many of them, she's always on the hunt for. The other day she actually was writing, I came home and she's writing down names. I'm like, what are you doing? All the dramas that I like, I'm writing the names down so I can recommend them to my friends, because I can never remember the names. So she made me Google all the names of the dramas that she likes. And the ones that she was naming, like Zindagi Gulzar Hai and like Udari, and like the social messages and all of these are strong social messages. I mean, there are, yes, of course, they still have a couple of those characters in there just because they have to, I'm assuming, have to put them in there. But at the end of the drama, the social message that comes in is a lot stronger. So I feel like they're trying to balance it out with one good drama every now and then. Like Kai, everyone was obsessed with Kai because of the performances and because of and they did have a strong female lead in there. So there are dramas with strong female leads. It's just there aren't enough.
They're few and far between, because I will say like 2 of the ones you named have been off air for years.
For years
now.
Udari, that's what I'm saying. It comes out, they sprinkle it.
Brilliant.
It was brilliant, but also the men were the main focus of that entire drama.
So,
but the female, being a strong female, it's so nuanced that majority of your audience kind of forgets that. Like if you talk to any of the men watching it, my dad watched that drama too. He loved it too.
Which one? Udari?
No, Kai. So a lot of men I know in my family watched that drama because my nani put them onto it and they really enjoyed it. But not a single one of them turned around and said, but there's a strong female lead. I was the only one that was like, but the female is strong. She is the one who's taking charge of this really terrible situation that she's in.
My mom's hook that whenever I'm like, bhai, why are we watching this? I'm so tired. And my dad will literally be like, bas rona dhona ye, and they're always crying. And he's like, I'm sick of seeing them cry. My mom says, no, because she's going to sort them out. She's going to sort them. So to your point that like for some women watching, you know, the hope is that like us, you're seeing this behavior of sort of like suffering in silence, and you're like, I don't want to be that. And maybe, you know, you see that sort of the sorting out that eventually comes on episode 111 or whatever.
Oh my God.
But I still feel that somehow too many dramas try to wrap it up neatly, that the sweetness and bholin is still there, that this is a good girl, and that's not a bad girl. I still feel that even when they come up, like, that's kind of the poison to me, because I'm just going to give a little anecdote, but like one time I was working in an office and I had come to work and I was wearing like a loose kameez, which is, you know, the fashion of our time. They basically, you know, and I didn't have a dupatta because I didn't need one and I didn't feel I need one. And a man like yelled at me in the elevator about it, okay? Like, and the thing was, he started with a language I didn't speak, and I, little American, I was like, sorry, what? And then he came at me in Urdu, and I was so stunned. The elevator boy, who was child labor, too young to be working, was like laughing. And that man, like, and I'm not saying that was completely drama related. That could very much just be societal, but it's also just the fact that, like, the good woman, bad woman is a real problem in Pakistan. Like, we have a femicide. We have an endemic of violence against women. And now, every day, to millions of viewers, we are perpetuating this stereotype that, like, you can spot them, you know?
Yeah. Because I feel like if you're written by a man, you're not going to be written well by a man. Just saying. If you're written by a woman in Pakistan, she's going to put all the emotion and all the feeling because she is relating to that. She maybe has experienced something like that. She knows what a woman would feel like and how she would suppress her feelings and how she would go about the situation. A man can never understand what a girl is going to go through, or like what a woman is going to go through in her life of like dealing with her sauce and dealing with her man and dealing with her nand and dealing with all of these things. He's not going to understand the worries that come with that as a woman, because it's not just that, oh, I have to be nice to these people. It's that, oh, I have to conform to these people and I have to listen to them and I have to be nice to them and I have to do their jobs and I have to I have to be obedient.
Comfortable.
Yeah. And like she said, like itne saalon se, like, you know, we had these women who were strong-headed women and they were shown as strong-headed women, but like now we don't even have good character arcs for those women.
So this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, my question is, and this is something that the producer said that you guys probably didn't hear, back in the day, in the 80s, in the early 90s, there were women, strong women being written in great roles.
Yeah.
And it was like a sort of like an aspirational thing. You had your Marina Khans and you had your Babra Sharifs and stuff doing some excellent like acting and excellent story arcs, and it was very aspirational. And you had men writing those roles too.
Yeah.
It's not that, the women were only writing those roles, which is why they gave them that.
Yeah.
What happened? Why are we going backwards? What changed in the industry?
Because now, like, money is, like, less, right? So, like, we have to hire writers that don't really take a lot of money.
Also, I feel like in the storylines, like you said, money plays a really big role in the storylines now.
Yeah.
Now it's like, the rich girl, so she has to be bad. Whereas they've just put them in these little labels.
Yeah.
Where before it was career girl.
Yeah.
She's going on getting her own money, or she's running the household.
Yeah.
They never had to say, because her father's not there or because she's not married. It was just about her going out.
Yeah.
So that whole aspirational thing it's not there anymore.
And to your point, like, it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people like kind of downplay, that like, it's just a drama or it's just TV. Now, I grew up believing a lot of things about romantic relationships and things like that, because to ghar mein ye baatein nahi hoti, and secondly, I'm watching them on like American teenage shows. So or Bollywood, like totally believed I was going to be married to Shah Rukh Khan by 22, you know, because Bollywood told me.
Yeah.
Because when you, and in our culture, like the idea of even speaking about something relationship wise outside of marriage, even talking about marriage.
Yeah.
Woo! See, I hit a point with throwing phones. Even talking about marriage is such a scandal, which is bizarre because we're so obsessed with it as a society. So to me, I just find it so dangerous that the representations of women that we put out there, or like relationships or anything that like that.
Any romance growing up is just bad.
Yeah, and like the world watching, like the whole country basically signing up to be like, the world, if this is the way the world is wrong.
But then I also feel like that's what, if they're saying that that's what works, then that's what you're kind of showing your audience.
You actually said a good point in the beginning that it was like, it's sort of like what came first, the egg or the chicken, right?
Vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle because you're constantly feeding into the same thing, and every now and then you have one thing that kind of steers a little further from what's already going on in the cycle, and then but all that media attention goes onto that one thing, whether it's good or bad. Because it's slightly different. But then why don't they strive to make slightly different the norm?
I wanna bring up Hira Mandi.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hira Mandi, you have a full female cast, right? All of those characters have so many layers to their niceness and their evilness and their malicious and everything. And in the end of it, no matter how horrible the character was, they still all came together and did what they had to do. We have not so far shown anything like that, where every character has depth. None of the characters over here have any sort of depth that you could be like, okay, I hate that person, I hate this character, but I kind of like them. Okay, maybe they're doing something right.
For them.
Yeah, I'm kind of rooting because, or like, oh shit, I don't like them, but I feel bad for them.
You know? Even just like you putting yourself in their shoes and being like, okay, that's why she's doing this. There's no
Going
character arc, there's no
nahi hai.
depth. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I bring this up
just so on the surface.
Yeah.
I bring this up like every episode I have with you, sorry, Elhaam. But there's this drama series that was like Aayegi Barat. So they had Annie.
I love that.
These were not that long ago. I want to say maybe early 2000s. And these are fantastic comedy serials, and they were the first time I watched drama. Then in those you had a widow getting remarried late in her age, including with a widower. You had people's marriages kind of falling apart. You had a plus-sized wedding and stuff taking place, and it was so like interesting to see that like you're saying, there's layers to it, right?
There's layers,
the one scenario I'm going to bring up, it was the daughter was livid that her mother is getting remarried, the nano is getting remarried, and that could have just, and it was played for jokes, but it was actually, they talked about why it was so upsetting. The daughter felt her father was being forgotten, and the nano was like, I want to live a happy life. And imagine that was in a comedy series. And we talked about it, and you're so right, in today's day and age,
Everything's too shallow.
It's so
Yeah.
simple. Humne shadi karni. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, we don't even see chemistry. So there was this Eid Ramzan drama. If someone could tell me the name, it was very popular. They even did a part 2 of it. Damn, I wish I was remembering the name.
Oh, the ensemble cast.
Yes,
one.
yes. Where
Yeah,
they
I know,
had someone like my age playing a dadi just because she had like 5 extra pounds on her, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I know
of
which
course.
one you're talking
Yeah.
about because it had like one of those all-star casts.
No idea.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
so popular. Do you
Yeah.
know which one I'm talking about? Damn it. You know what? We'll put in a little
Yeah, we
thing.
will plug it back in, but I know exactly. So this is the thing. I watch all of them. I just forget the names.
So they were all
everyone. It was like an
young
all-star cast. It was a
people.
Ramzan. It was an ensemble cast. It was
and like there are
a comedy.
fan
It was a
edits.
comedy.
No,
Two
this is the
years
second
ago.
Ramzan they've
2
done
years
it.
ago.
And they have like fan edits. It's like a
Yeah.
huge thing on TikTok. India loves it and stuff.
Yeah.
And no, they're younger actors.
No.
We'll write it down here. Sorry guys that I even brought it up without knowing it. Very on brand for me. But the point I was trying to make is they build chemistry in that show. They build relationships in that show. So
Yeah.
people went wild for it
Yeah.
versus every other show we watch. It's just
Yeah.
like proximity breeds
Yeah.
maddening love. And then
Yeah.
they get married and they never have a conversation beyond fresh ho jao and silence that I'm not
Main apni
gonna
chai le aati
chai
hu.
banayo.
Yeah, main
like
apni chai
your
leकर aati
mom
hu.
tried to light me
Shopping
on
chalte
fire,
hain.
but I'm not.
But it's fine, let me
They
get some chai.
shop so much on dramas. I'm like, where is this disposable income coming from?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I go shopping like once a year, and that too, I'm crying through the whole process.
Dude, do you guys, okay, so being somebody who like worked in the industry like and was on sets all the time, do you know how much a budget for refreshments is for an actor when they are working?
I'm sure it's peanuts because I mean
How-
our budgets
I
are
want
like
you guys to
ridiculous.
give me like a ballpark. Like I want
Okay,
you guys
I'll
to,
from my because I've experienced
this is
it.
refreshments. This is like 8 o'clock, and like lunch is done and everything. You're almost about to like go home, but like you want to like eat something. So
I'd say $50.
I literally don't even know. I'm so excited to hear your answer. I'm like at the edge of my
it's
seat.
180 rupees. 180 rupees. Mein Red Bull bhi nahi aati.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because then.
That's kind of nuts, dude.
Yeah,
That's
so
not even like
you
a
would be
lunch
on
plate.
set,
Dude,
yeah.
even and it's not just dramas, it's across media.
Yeah.
They lowball
Yeah.
refreshments for the people who are actually there for hours.
And these are big
for
production
days.
houses, by the way.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah.
bottle of muddy water is like 80 rupees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you, for example, like I would usually just be like, oh, just get me like Red Bull or something, because I didn't want to have chard and stuff because it was like flaring up my skin. And every other day, like you're on set for like 8 months, and every night like you're having chaat or like a bun kebab or something like that. It's gonna ruin your skin,
course.
right? Red Bull is too, but like I was like, I'd rather just
You
have
gotta pick
that.
your poison.
Yeah,
You know what
like
I
I gotta figure it out. You feel me? So
Even other options like the most basic, you want a coffee.
yeah.
What coffee are you getting for 100 rupees?
You're not. And
You're
like,
not.
180, like a Red Bull now I think costs like 300 maybe. And back then it was like 250.
This is like
and I'd
back
be
in
like, bro.
school.
Yeah. And I'd
Where
be
you
like,
get-
bro, take 1,000 from me and go get me a freaking Red Bull. Because I really want to have a Red Bull. And get me some snacks on the way too. But then they would start the drama industry. I have a lot of like beef with it.
Please.
Because
This is the place.
This
to-
is your stage.
I've had a lot of beef with it, just mainly because not only because of like the budget and whatever, and like that wasn't really a big issue because I always had like, alhamdulillah, I always had money to be like, okay, just go get it for me. But like just the way that they treat their actors, like they're just employers. Okay, they're just here and they're gonna work and they're gonna leave. Like it's not like you're not given any sort of like respect in that regard where you're on set and you have like people respecting you and being like.
How long have you been acting?
So I was in 6 to 7 dramas when I was I think 18, 19, and then I mostly did lead roles, so that was a good thing. But then also so because I'm a little dyslexic, my Urdu was always really bad in terms of like reading. I can speak it really well, but like I can't really like read it, and especially if it's like a script, then I would have to either ask them to like make it into Roman, or I would have to like
Which
just
I've heard is
learn it.
expensive, by the way, getting
Very
your
expensive.
scripts converted.
Yeah. So I would be like, okay, well, can you guys? Then I would have like one of my ADs like stand next to me, and I'd be like, listen, just read it out to me over and over again, and I'm just gonna repeat after you because that's the only way that I can remember it, right? So my first drama, the AD at some point, like because I couldn't remember my line, he literally like turns to me at some point in the middle of the scene and he goes like, you can't even like read your scene, like what are you saying? And I'm like,
I was just gonna say, I'm like,
what do you
our
mean?
industry, I mean, everyone keeps saying, oh yeah, our industry is growing, this, that.
It's
I'm like,
not.
if you compare it to anywhere else in the world, the rights that people have there and the fact that they fight for all of these
Yeah.
rights, the most basic of things, like if you genuinely need the help,
yeah,
they have empathy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here, like you said,
Yeah.
they just treat you like another piece of fun. They do
Yeah.
not have any respect
they're like, oh, they're
or any
getting
empathy
money and
for
they're
you.
gonna do it, and
That's
like,
like why I
yeah.
brought it up. Actually, my exact point, because I was
Yeah.
gonna say like, so dependent, like how many years has it been since you started?
Google said 2016.
Lol. I think it was actually 2016. I think it was
But
2016.
like mid 2000s.
So 8
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
And so my
No,
question was gonna be,
I
have you?
stopped doing dramas like basically like 4 or 5 years ago because I was like, I can't.
Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah, I couldn't, and mainly because like the directors would never take me seriously. B, because they thought that I was too westernized and they thought I didn't know Urdu. So I was like, no, it's not that I don't know Urdu. I know Urdu. I just can't I can't read it.
Yeah.
So you need to read it out to me. So I would tell this to every set that I would go to. I would like let the AD know and I would let the director know, hey, I have a bit of a learning disability. You have to sit down with me and just give me a little bit of attention. And if you can, because I know you have a lot of, stuff on your plate, give me one of the ADs and I will sit down with them and I will do it. Or I would have like a co-star with me who would help me through it. Alhamdulillah, all of my co-stars have been very, very nice in the sense where they've actually taught me. Vahaj being one of them, he was like the one person who like sat me down and he was like, I'm going to teach you how to act. And I was like,
That's awesome.
Fit. So he taught me a lot of things that I didn't know and he would, read out the scripts to me and he would, do all of that. But then the directors, because they're not like big directors, they would always kind of treat me like how they treat themselves, which is like whatever. They'd be like, drama, whatever. Like, it was never taken seriously. Not my condition or whatever, but like the drama itself was never taken seriously.
I've actually very recently, I was at this get together where there was a couple new
Yeah.
rising
Rising
drama
stars.
actors
Yeah.
or people who had just done their first major roles.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the shared conversation. And it was like, well, they felt that like their director was really about it,
Yeah.
and the cast was really about it.
Yeah.
But that everything else kind of felt like they were being done a favor for, and like how
Yeah.
that kind of impacts your passion a little bit,
Yeah.
because you're like, if everyone's acting like I'm wasting their time, like,
Yeah.
but they did speak about how their director,
Yeah.
she was really like kind of like going to bat for them, because
Yeah.
it was like them versus the writers and the
Yeah, yeah.
production,
Yeah.
not production company, I guess network, you would
Yeah.
say.
Network, yeah.
But so you stepped away then. That's pretty, especially considering you started in starring roles. So
and
that's
I had
pretty
to
big.
because like there was a lot of like talk about my weight because I was really skinny at that point. Like I was like very skinny, but I wasn't too skinny to like not be able to be on screen. You know what I mean? So I'd be like, oh, like they'd be like, oh, you're too dark, or oh, you're too skinny and you should go to the gym, and oh, you like like
And
stuff.
the minute you put on 1 kg, they'd be like,
they're like, oh,
fatty.
it's too much. Sorry,
Yeah.
like we don't want you anymore. So and then like when people, for example, like you have to run after some people for like money,
Oof,
and it's so
girl.
sad because you're like, bro, I worked so hard on this drama. Like I gave you my 8 months of my life, 12 hours every single day, and I'm not getting paid for the stuff that I've done. That's absolute crap.
This is one of the conversations I
Yeah.
think I have with like every
Everyone. Yeah.
content media
Yeah.
person, is like, you are made to feel bad.
You're made
for
to feel
looking
bad,
for your own money.
and then they say, "Oh, I'm gonna cast you in a big film," and then you're like, "Okay, cool. You're gonna cast me in a big film. Where's my money, though?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get it with that," and then you never get to that point.
Like, this is actually like slave labor.
Literally,
What do you mean?
and it's like,
And
dude,
gaslight
I
you.
wasted. Yeah, I'm like, I wasted so much time, and it's not even like it's not the first time that that's happened. It's like happened a bunch of times, and there's people that I'm not gonna name, but like,
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you spoken with male co-stars about this, and do they get the same treatment?
misogyny is real. Misogyny is so real. Like I love all of my like male co-stars. They've been so nice to me, and like they've taught me so much and everything. But the misogyny that is there on set, Like, yeah, they respect women, but only in the sense where, like, oh, there's a woman in the room. Oh.
No, quiet down. Stop talking
But I
about
feel
her.
like they'll also turn a blind eye to the fact that they get treated very differently to the women. But they're not speaking up. That's still wrong.
Yeah. They're not.
I mean, if they can be really nice to you, but if they see someone mistreating you, and it doesn't have to be like big mistreating, even little things like you're not getting paid, stand up for. You guys are in it together.
No, you can't, because if he stands up for me, like if my co-star stands up for me, then he's not going to get paid.
Yeah, but...
And then there's going to be a bad rep, and then they're going to be like, oh, they're probably dating. This is the problem.
Wow, that escalated.
Because coming from women's
problem.
reputations, I feel in our industry, just overall media, coming for the reputation... Ooh, that's the easiest threat.
Oh, yeah,
Easiest threat in the book is like, well, they'll
dating.
tell people. Oh, yeah, they're probably dating. Oh, why else would he do that? Or it's even like, if you're bold and edgy, Western, they will demolish you.
Yeah.
Can you finish the misogyny part that you were talking about?
Misogyny. The misogyny on the set is like real. Like, yes, everybody's really nice and stuff, but the problem with that is like, not only is it misogyny towards the women, but it's also amongst each other. And that's really weird to me, because I'm like, wait, shouldn't y'all just be like boysing? But like, you're not boysing. You're like treating each other like crap as well. But then also male actors do get paid more than the female actors. Even though if I'm leading the drama, why is my co-star like getting paid more than I am?
I think our drama industry is one of the few where like women are like the center point of almost every story.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I'm the one crying in every scene. Okay?
I'm dehydrated,
and I'm not getting paid for that. What do you mean? And so I don't know, man. Like, I have a lot of things to say about it, and mostly really bad. But like, that's kind of why I left.
You mentioned that you were being told you're too skinny, or you should put on weight, or this and that. And I'm not saying that male actors are immune to this. If anything, I think, like, I've personally seen in the 11 years that I've been watching dramas, like, I've seen the impact of beauty standards on the male actors, some in positive ways, some in, like, you can tell that, like, oh, something here, like, maybe wasn't fair, or they've been talked to in a way that has upset them. But to hear that you were being criticized for being too thin, I'm like, what man had been told that on that same stage, or like who would have stepped in?
Nobody, because nobody would have said anything like that. Like so for example, a couple of years ago, like I went to Islamabad for this like movie, and when I went there, it was a really weird experience. Like, I was doing my scenes and stuff, and there was another co-actor with me, and I hadn't met him before, and he seems really, really nice. And so I was like, he was struggling with his scene a little bit. So I was like, hey, let me help you. Like, I would love to, like, help you, like, learn the scenes and stuff. So we're sitting there, and I'm trying to teach him, like, expression. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm never going to put you down. I'm going to teach you. I don't want to be like, oh, tumhe to kuch nahi aata. Like, I'm going to be like, no, I'm here to, like, help you,
Because together you'll make a better product.
Yeah, and, like, if we don't have any chemistry, the product's not going to look good, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm teaching him all of that. And then we go back in after we've done the lines and stuff, and the director came and he sat down. His wife is standing right there, and he's like, "Oh, we need to pad you up." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, we need to add more layers to your body so that like boys, like when boys see you on screen, like they think about you." And so I got really uncomfortable with that comment, and this is the comment that I'm telling you right now. Like, it's not even the full scale of what he actually.
I feel like it would have been much more like
degrading.
Like more like
after this, like I'm gonna tell you
guys.
There's
no etiquette there either.
There's not, and his wife is standing right there. So then I was like, oh, and then the conversation went wherever. So then I went back home to my hotel and I called my mom and I was like, hey, I didn't like the way he said that to me, and it felt really weird and degrading. And like, can you just speak to him and be like, hey, don't talk to her like that?
Yeah.
Or like if you want something like that, go talk to your wife. She will come up to her and then she will explain to her what the director wants. Like that's the professional way that I would expect things to be done, right?
Right.
This dude says to my mom, he's like, who does she think she is? he goes like, oh, she was trying to teach my other actor how to act, and he really took offense to that. And yeah, and like she was I was in his garden while we were rehearsing, and I was smoking my vape. He's like, oh, she smokes and she does this and she does that. And my mom calls me and she's like, what did you do? I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I
was just an adult human with autonomy. Actually, my bad.
Yeah.
So ego. There's no professionalism.
There's no
clearly.
professionalism. Like,
I mean, with the way they talk, with the way this other thing about reputation, where it's so easy for people to just throw a line out, and because you're in this public space, and you have to kind of put yourself out there, it's so easy for people to just light a match and
you,
just
and he wanted
your
to
entire
shame
life
her
will
and
blow
her
up.
mother.
Because
Clearly. With
we
one
called
line.
him out. Because we called him out for the weird thing that he said to me.
Yeah.
And he knew that if he had come out and if something like this had come out and someone would have said something about it, he was like, no. She, you know what she was doing? You know what your daughter was doing? Yeah.
वो smoke करी थी.
Smoke करी थी. And I'm just like,
वो अपने co-star से बात
बात करी थी. वो उसको सिखा रही थी. उसको क्या लगता है? She can't teach him. And I'm like, bro, that's weird. Like, how you don't know how to act. I'm trying to teach you how to act. And I'm trying to like help you.
So how do you, how do you deal with how do you put walls up, and how do you put this armor up, and dealing with being in the public eye and people constantly, like, in this sense, people constantly, like, anything can trigger people's response. And then because there are all these strangers who think they know you better because they're sitting behind a screen, how do you deal with all of that?
Block, delete, girl. Block and delete.
Like,
literally, block, delete, because no one's ever gonna come and say that to your face. And if they say it to your face, then I think you should be resilient and strong enough to be like, don't talk to me like that. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like self-respect is like one of the main things. And like if you don't have self-respect and you keep taking like just shit from people, like it's gonna get worse, you know?
We need to make a drama on this.
Sorry, there was two things before we end. Yeah. Just one thing. So are there plans to go back to acting?
If I get better roles.
So you're open to it, but you're waiting for the right, like that makes sense to me.
Like I wouldn't mind, like if I have to be a villain in like a drama, I would love that.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Give
oh,
you
think,
a challenge.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, you think I'm bold? Let's
on.
go. You know?
Yeah.
And then I did like a little mini series where I was the rude, obnoxious, mean sister, and it like set so well with me because I was like, that's literally just me all the time. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. And like, you know, I wouldn't mind, like I would like to do like not dramas, but I the thing is I love acting. Like I love just like being in front of the camera and like, you know, being able to show like my talent and stuff, growing up in like an industry and like with my parents and stuff, like, you know, it's still there, and it's something that it's a passion. It's a passion. I love doing it, but the drama industry killed my passion, and that's what's really sad to me.
Well, that's actually a fan. I'm like, clip it. That's going to be our clip.
I really hope that you get a role that actually satisfies you. And you know what? It could happen on digital, because now there's so much digital
I would love to. Like
Netflix,
YouTube, stuff like that. Indie work, I feel like I would be so happy to do like an indie drama or like an indie film or something like that.
I love the web series that are coming out of this.
She's open to all the indie work, so let's get her.
Yeah.
And then the last thing when we close, because honestly you had us so enthralled that like we didn't get to go into like too much in depth. But right now you are a finalist for Miss Universe Pakistan, eh? Yeah. I just wanted to mention that and talk about it a little bit before we end, that like, what's up, Miss Universe?
I don't even know.
How did that happen?
It was so basically last year Erica Robin was representing us as Miss Universe Pakistan, and she was the first Miss Universe Pakistan. So when we saw that, we were like, yo, this
inspirational.
This is finally a chance for us to, as women, represent ourselves as Pakistanis, and not only just for beauties, but like beauty with brains and like, you know, like a whole package. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. Like, I want to compete because I've always wanted to compete in some. I watch a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I love a good pageant. Okay, so I was like, yeah, and toddlers and tiaras. I love that. Anyway, so I was like, oh, I always wanted to be on something like that. So when this year, like, the registrations and everything came in my head at that point, I was like, I'll just register for it. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And progressively, it just kept getting better and better and mashallah, like better and better and better. And I was just like, yo, I'm out here.
It's happening.
I'm out here. But yeah, so we decided that, so basically last year, when obviously Tashin and I got married, we decided that we wanted to open up an NGO for women's mental health in Pakistan.
Hey.
Because
That's amazing.
Shout out to husband. So that's something that's not really been researched because like white men have been researched the most in psychology, but not South Asian women or South Asia just in general over mental health, because I feel like we have very different struggles.
Absolutely.
You know?
Experiences, struggles, everything.
And that's something that we want to research on. The NGO is basically, it has like a hotline where you can call and you can have a therapist online all the time who can speak to you. It's called Nafsihat.
We should put the details in the
So we thought
caption.
that for Miss Universe, it would be a great platform for Nafsihat to be represented to the world,
That's
and so that we
fantastic.
can use that to basically help over here women in Pakistan.
That's amazing.
That's amazing, and more power to you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Best
so
of luck.
much.
I'm excited to see where it comes. Also, she sings, she acts, she writes, she's brilliant.
does everything.
Models, everything.
We
Awesome
haven't even
content.
touched on music, and that's like something that I want to talk about. So once this camera goes off, we're gonna talk.
Yeah,
Thank
let's
you
do it.
so much for
Thank you
joining
for
us
having
today.
me. I
It was
had so much
super-
fun with you guys,
Yay.
dude.
We'll have you back.
It's like the funnest podcast I've ever been on.
Woo!
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Kurt's here.
You're coming back. We're gonna do a whole other one.
Oh my god,
for,
yeah,
for
let's go.
other things.
Let's go.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Yay, so fun. Oh.
Intro the master.
Okay.
I'm not stopping.
No, keep going.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on
Thank you for
today.
having me.
I had a blast.
Absolutely. Best podcast I've ever been on.
You hear that? All right. Yay!
Yay.
That was great. Bye.
See ya. Bye.